will start with everybody's favorite team, but not really, the Chicago Bears.
We're just Bears.
They're a popular team, man.
We're gonna build our way up on this division.
Look, I say they're popular because Bear fans are very dedicated. They keep they keep that same 80s energy. I appreciate it too. But let me just start by saying I hated Matt Nagy. I hope he never gets another head coaching job ever again. I just thought he failed Andy Reid's tree. I took it as an insult. Like, I seriously looked at this dude for the last couple years and was like, this man got a job, but Eric B couldn't get a job, and Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl. Like, how did you share the same room with these people? Like, you look like you've never coached football a day in your life, let alone called an offensive play a day in your life. Like, that was my biggest thing. And then they gave him Justin Fields, who, I don't care what you say, he's talented, and he couldn't do anything with them. He didn't run. I think the first like 6 or 7 games, I was telling Ronnie that he was sabotaging the kid. I was like, there's no way that this is your scheme, this is your game plan with this type of player, with these type of people on your team. I know they're not that talented, but like, you wasn't trying to do anything that would benefit the team. It was like you were just doing what you thought was best. But I think the coaches in today's game who are successful are the ones who realize that they have to utilize their talent. Like, you can't box people in anymore. Like, there's too many athletes in the league. You have to find like things for them to do. Case in point, Kyle Shanahan, not my favorite person, but he's my coach, and I like to use him as an example. We got a lot of track guys on the team this year for some reason, like in the preseason. So he has schemed up passing schemes to send more people vertical and run those guys down the field because he's got a fucking quarterback who throws the ball far. So it's like, you could run the Jimmy G offense with Trey Lance, but why would you?
Right.
And that's what I was seeing with Nagy. I'm like, you got Justin Fields. Hell, you had Mitch Trubisky. You still wasn't doing, like, you could have run the Nick Foles offense with Mitch Trubisky and it should have been fine. And Mitch is a better athlete. Like, Mitch is a good enough athlete to at least move the ball. That was the thing that really irked me, is that they didn't have any consistency in moving the ball at all, no matter who was the quarterback. And it wasn't an execution thing. It was a scheme thing. And so happy to see him go. They picked up the defense coordinator from the Colts, which is probably a good thing for them. The biggest pickup for them was getting Getsy, the QB coach, passing game coordinator for the Packers. I think that'll be great for somebody like Justin Fields. So I am optimistic about what I'm going to see on the field this year. Hopefully it'll be a better product than last year. Don't expect them to be world killers, world beaters, but to get them competitive and moving in the right direction, I think would do good.
Yeah, it's interesting because I agree with you on the coaching. I get annoyed by how often you just hear pundits being like, well, they hired a defensive coach, so they're sabotaging the quarterback. It's like,
yeah.
All right, well, they stole the QB coach from a division rival. So, or was he the QB coach? I actually might be wrong.
Yeah, he was QB coach, passing game coordinator.
Yeah, so it's like, I mean, they watched the Green Bay system. It's worked pretty well. Granted, you have Aaron Rodgers, but still, Aaron Rodgers didn't look this way 4 years ago when he was playing with Mark McCarthy. So I think the system is
not analytical. Mike McCarthy.
If such a thing exists, I can tell you, analytics doesn't tell you to run a QB sneak with.
Oh my god!
But yeah, I think they have a really smart, adaptable coaching staff. I just don't know what they're doing team building wise. I mean, I don't really care that much about the Raquan Smith stuff. I mean, if you go by PFF, he didn't even play well last year, so they're reluctant to pay a middle linebacker $18 million. I get it, that's fine. And granted, they only had 3 day 1 and 2 picks, but in part because they traded for Fields.
Mm-hmm.
But you use your first 2 picks on defense, and then the 3rd pick is on a 25-year-old wide receiver. This is a team. They also lost their best offensive lineman, James Daniels, who actually went to the Steelers, which is one guard spot where they'll be better next year for Pittsburgh. But and then Allen Robinson, obviously, he needed a new place. That's fine, but they didn't replace him with anybody. This is Darnell Mooney, Cole Kmet, and at best a bunch of guys who would be third receivers on another team. I don't even know if they have a guy who should be a third receiver on another team. Byron Pringle, like, what's there to be excited about there? And again, the Fields is going to be running for his life again. So I like what they did coaching wise with their hires. I don't like what they did team building wise. I know, again, they had limitations because of the draft picks, and I think they still have a lot of dead money, but man, I feel for Fields because I think as much as the system might be good, I just don't think the talent around him is good enough. I think this is potentially a bottom 5 team in the NFL.
It's gonna take time. And like I said, anybody that's listening, when I say I want to see a team be competitive, that's code for they're not talented. So
yeah. Honestly, if they're I know that I don't think they had much different. I think they actually might have had a better record than Detroit last year. But just watching those two play last year, Detroit was the team where you felt like, oh, these guys are bringing it every single week. Mm-hmm. I mean, again, they lost a lot of close games. Chicago was having games where they had that one game, they gained 56 total yards. Mm-hmm. So if they go 4-13, 5-12, if it just looks creative, again, look a little creative on offense, like you're trying to cater to Justin Fields' talent, and then just be a high effort team. I think that's all you're trying to see from them. On best case scenario actually might be that they finish 4-13. They can do a trade back next year because everyone's trying to get a QB and they're not. And then you can really hardcore revamp this team next offseason. I think that's when you really want to see progress. I think this year you're seeing some progress from Fields. That's the only real goal. I don't think you should expect to see a lot of wins.
Yeah. Just if you're a Bears fan, I would agree. Just look to see progress. Look to see the talent that you did invest in is well worth it. And then you can work on building around those guys at a later date. Over under at 6.5, minus 161 for the over, plus 131 for the under. I would definitely go for the under.
Yeah, I love that under. I'm surprised it's that high. Yeah, I thought when you said the minus, I was like, oh, the under is minus 160. No. Why are people? Is that just again Bears fans being Bears fans? They want to be optimists. I don't know that doesn't even feel like a Bears fan thing. I feel like Bears fans would be like, we know it's gonna be bad.
I think it's just a lot of people or odds makers probably really like the hires, not really paying attention to the talent, thinking that, hey, this team won 6 games last year. They got better coaching this year, or more optimistic about the coaching this year. So they think that maybe it'll still run into about 7 games. But I think that this next team is actually going to be a lot better than people are anticipating. And I hate to say it, but it's the Lions. Right. And I think the Lions are going to throw a wrench into that 6.5